Ladies and gentlemen, we know a recent video surfaced of fans trying to tell Raiders general manager Dave Ziegler get a deal done with the running back Josh Jacobs.
Come on, give me at least 11 to 12 million.
And we talked about this clip yesterday, and Dave Ziegler's comments made it seem like things are heading in a positive direction with Josh Jacobs. But now we are learning that may not be the case, as Josh Jacobs' agent sent a cryptic message through social media. Plus, we are going to dig a little bit deeper on who balled out in this past preseason game and what to look forward to for the Raiders next week. The Los Angeles Rams are set to play the Raiders this week on Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9 o'clock Eastern time. And the Raiders are actually in LA right now. They're getting ready for the scrimmage they're going to have with the Rams on Wednesday and Thursday. So just like with the Niners last week, we're going to get all these updates and we're going to find out who is balling out, and usually more starters are playing during this time. And keep in mind, we will be live on this channel during the game this Saturday doing live play-by-play and reaction. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Now we got all this crap happening with Josh Jacobs right now, and it just makes me think, what will the Raiders have to do if he does not end up playing, right? We saw Zamir White do a decent job in this past preseason game. Zamir White did not play much at all last year, but he's now finally going to get some opportunities, especially given the fact that the Raiders do not really have any other star players at the running back position on this team. Yes, they have Amir Abdullah, who's more of a pass catching back, and we saw him play a little bit in this past game. And Damian Williams, the former Chief, also got in the action, but the dude was just signed a few days ago. But I felt like the big story was Sincere McCormick here. This guy was getting a lot of snaps in training camp, and he was actually playing kind of like a receiving back. You heard this from ESPN and tons of other reporters. And then you saw him play in this past preseason game, was able to pick up 27 yards, 3 yards a carry, and a touchdown. He pretty much got the most opportunities outside of Zamir White. And Zamir White, the 4th round pick in 2022, did a good job, but only got 3.3 yards a carry. He also got a touchdown off of 13 attempts. And I think he was great, but Josh Jacobs is just such a high caliber running back in the NFL, literally the best running back in the NFL. And in my opinion, there was a noticeable difference in this preseason game, unlike when Jacobs played in the Hall of Fame game last year in 2022. We also need to talk about receivers. There were some people who made some plays. We didn't focus on them too much because it seems like the Raiders already have their starting wide receivers set with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Hunter Renfrow. Then you're going to have Trey Tucker, the 3rd round pick, DeAndre Carter, recently signed from the Chargers, and most likely Philip Dorsett as the other wide receiver on this team. That's who I think is going to make the 53-man roster, but you had some other people playing in this past game. Keelan Cole was able to get a touchdown, and you also had Christian Wilkerson get a decent amount of targets, actually the 3rd most targets, but was only able to gain 12 yards off of them. And Trey Tucker, 3 targets, had that one drop that was almost a big deep reception. His numbers would definitely be better if he got that. But I think the big story was Cole Fotheringham. The dude was getting some serious production on the field, even receiving some catches from Aiden O'Connell, and he picked up 71 yards, not a touchdown, but some insane PFF grades in the receiving game. And look, 100%, 5 for 5, 5 targets, 5 receptions. You'd love to see that. And with the Raiders moving on from Darren Waller, Michael Mayer has not been available. The dude's been banged up. It's really good to see another tight end, a former undrafted free agent in 2022, ball out. And speaking of Josh Jacobs and his agent, we have seen some wild stuff before from his agent responding to some of the media narratives out there by the Raiders. You had Vinny B of the Las Vegas Review-Journal saying that the Raiders have always been open to talking to Jacobs and nothing has changed going back to the July 17th deadline. And then you had Josh Jacobs' agent right here respond, Black Label Sports Group, what are you hearing from your contact Ziegler? Is there a chance? And this was earlier in August, about 2 weeks ago when they did this. And we pointed out before, Josh Jacobs even liked this tweet by them. Hey, he likes what his agent's doing. And that is why we have the next thing. We showed you the viral clip yesterday of the fans getting after Dave Ziegler saying, hey, get a deal done. Hey, throw some incentives in there. And Dave Ziegler seemed optimistic and said, we'll get a deal done. And then when asked about Jacobs getting incentives, getting a couple extra million on his contract, his 1-year deal franchise tag, Ziegler even made a comment saying that he wouldn't mind that. And then you got Black Label Sports Group responding to this, posting an article talking about Ziegler, saying they're confident that they'll get something done. And in this article by Alex Manfredi, you have a lot of talk about what exactly happened, the viral video that we talked about a little bit earlier. The key thing is this article ends with a pessimistic tone, and think about it. Josh Jacobs' agent is reposting this, and it says that, actions speak louder than words. Common ground has yet to be found. We know where Ziegler's head is at. So to me, it seems like the agent was sort of happy that Dave Ziegler sounded like he wants to get a deal done, but but the message of actions speak louder than words shows me that there's probably no communication happening right now, especially coupled with the fact that 2 weeks ago they were joking around about how Ziegler is not talking to them. And we've heard rumors before from other people like LaShawn McCoy on ESPN that the Raiders did not even offer Josh Jacobs a contract. And they only did it at the last minute by the July 17th deadline. And that is why you have Jacobs' agent posting so much stuff on their Twitter account. Marcus Allen takes a shot over Josh Jacobs' contract situation. Posting Devontae Adams, calling him the best running back in the league. And it seems like they're just trying to put this message out there that they're not too happy. The problem is the deadline has passed for them to negotiate any kind of multi-year contract. And because it's a non-exclusive franchise tag, other teams could actually talk to Josh Jacobs, and so he could know his value around the NFL. The issue is, in order for a team to offer him a contract, they'd have to send the Raiders 2 first-round picks, which is not happening. And there's really only 2 options here. The first option, which seems like Jacobs' agent is into it based on them endorsing this article, is giving Josh Jacobs a bonus on top of his 1-year deal, and also guaranteeing that they will not franchise tag him next year so he could test the open market. That's the option 1 that it seems like Jacobs' agent is into, because regardless, as of right now, he can't get a multi-year contract. And it also seemed like Dave Ziegler was interested in that based on his response to the fans who said to throw some incentives on, give him a couple extra million. But for some reason, and for whatever reason, it's not happening, and it has not happened yet. And I think it should happen because it'd be great to get Jacobs in the building. And here's the second option. Less than a few weeks ago, you had Josh Jacobs' agent seem a little favorable to this article that Mike Florio put out, which was about the Raiders rescinding the franchise tag, allowing Josh Jacobs to become a free agent. The Raiders would save that cap space, open up that $10 million, and then Jacobs would be able to go sign wherever he wants. And like we said earlier, he can talk to other teams technically because he's on the non-exclusive franchise tag. So he probably does know that the Chiefs and the Broncos are actually interested in him. And this article claims they talked to a source. Josh Jacobs' agent seemed favorable to this article. It's not really that hard to figure out that they're probably the source. Who knows for a fact, but most likely a source close to the situation. And look, we actually reached out to Josh Jacobs' agent, and they told us to read some of these articles from Pro Football Talk. So I would assume that they like the content in those articles. So this would really suck because you don't want to see Josh Jacobs go to a freaking division rival. So if the Raiders really don't want to give Josh Jacobs any extra money on top of this year, or if Jacobs is still rejecting that, then this is the option too that they might do just to save $10 million in cap space if he's going to hold out anyways and not play anyways. But this could be disastrous, so hopefully they get a deal done and figure this out. We will be live on this channel in the upcoming preseason games Saturday, August 19th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I hope to see you there. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.